I hate to break it to you, but writing a series of steamy bedroom scenes is just not enough. Hi there, my name is Ellison, and I am a published indie author of the novel Hughes, and I'm an avid romance reader for over the last 10 years. I mean, like, maybe even more than 10 years. My concept of time completely left me the moment I graduated high school. In those 10 plus years, I learned that there were about 7 key elements that not only kept me engaged with the romance novel that I was reading, but that actually made me fall just as in love with the characters as the characters themselves were falling in love. I mean, like, serious obsession and characters that really stuck with me, relationships that really stuck with me well after reading the book. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing those 7 key elements with you, so that way if you are writing your own romance novel, you can sort of know what is going to keep somebody engaged. Or if you are just an avid reader, that you can sort of start identifying those elements that really make you love a book. So that way you can choose the books that you really want to read a little bit more carefully. Element number 1 is the problem that your characters are trying to overcome. Here's the thing. When the problem is the relationship itself, the relationship shouldn't even be happening. Obviously, there are a vast variety of romance styles and genres, and a lot of those styles and genres really have to do with the relationship itself, or the relationship is the focal point of the story. And I mean, that is the essence of romance at its core. But something that those kinds of romance novels often do is that they make the relationship itself the problem, okay? There's nothing else happening. It is just the relationship. Having something outside of a relationship challenging a relationship, absolutely. That is romance, right? That is real. That is romance. That is the essence of romance. It's where it's like, okay, we have these two people coming together and something outside of themselves, it's putting pressure on the relationship. But when the problem is the relationship, I'm sorry, like, I'm just not going to ship these people. And it's not because I'm heartless, but let's actually look at it, right? When all you encounter in a relationship is arguing and disagreements and lack of trust and sketchy behavior and manipulation and toxic treatment and abusive treatment, what is your reaction, right? What is likely to happen in that situation? All I'm saying is that people break up for less, okay? People break up for less than, oh, he is a toxic person, or oh, she's a horrible person, or people break up for less than the relationship being the problem. And so for me to really be engaged with a romance, for me to really be like enamored and captivated by a romance, the relationship can't be the problem. And I think that that's true for most people, is that when the relationship is the problem, there's a little bit of a disconnect feeling there, right? Like there's this disconnection there. And obviously there are exceptions to this rule, obviously, okay? And you're probably naming a few right now where it's like, but there's this book and there's this book and there's this book, right? But when you think about the relationship being the problem, when the relationship is the problem, it prevents the story from progressing forward. It's almost like you get to the end of the story and you're thinking, you still have a lot of issues that are unresolved here. You apparently resolved them, but it was way too quick, and like, they haven't been resolved for me. And so as a reader, you get to the end of the book and you're thinking, like, I'm not into this, right? I'm not into this relationship, and you can't connect with the relationship. The story ends and you think, I still need more. I still need more. And the relationship feels very forced. It feels like the author is trying to force you to fall in love with these people who have problems, right? And the relationship is the problem. It's kind of like when your best friend is trying to convince you to like her boyfriend, but her boyfriend is really nasty and he's mean to her and he says mean things to her and he's never there, or he's always like, oh, just stay with me and don't go out with your friends, right? Like, it's impossible to like that, right? Like, you can't stand him because he's not, right? Like, you can't stand him because he's not good for her. Or when your best guy friend is trying to convince you to absolutely adore his new girlfriend, but she's like never around and she doesn't support him and she's always nagging at him and she puts him down. You aren't down for that, right? Like, you aren't down for that. And so when you read these romance novels, you know, these people sort of become your friend. When there's a disconnect in the relationship, it's really hard to support that. And when there's a problem in the relationship, it's really hard to support that. We need a good problem, but the problem cannot be the person that we're supposed to be falling in love with. Like that, like rule number one, the problem cannot be that person. I'm gonna move my computer because all my notes are here and like it's not going well. So element number 2 is perceived compatibility. Controversial opinion here, controversial opinion. The steaminess rating in the bedroom is not a good sign or a good tell for the compatibility of two people. Sure, some people are better in the bedroom than others. Sure, some people are hotter in the bedroom than others. Absolutely, no doubt about it. You can't deny that, right? But here's the truth. It's gonna work, no matter who you're with. Okay? Compatibility is a question of whether or not you mesh with a person, right? I mean, we've all had those people in our lives where it's like, I just like don't really mesh with you and I don't really want to be around you and you know, we just like, we're just not on the same page, right? It's not a matter of how steamy it gets in the bedroom. It's a matter of personality and it's a matter of goals and lifestyle choices and, right? Like just personality in general. That is a measure of compatibility. Do you get along? Do you enjoy each other's company? Do you make good partners? And are you complementary to one another, right? Like where one person is weak, you're strong and the other way around. Do you blend or do you clash? I've read so many romance novels where, you know, the relationship we're looking at and the relationship that is the focus, I mean, these two people are horrible for each other, right? All they do is fight. All they do is argue. All they do is clash and disagree and, I mean, hate on one another. You know, they argue instead of having civil conversations. They don't trust one another, and for good reason, because neither of them give each other a reason to trust them, right? And so there's, like, these people are not compatible. Here's what I'm not saying, okay? I'm not saying that these two people need to be the exact same. I'm not saying that these two people have to agree on everything. I'm not saying that these people have to have the same exact interests and the same personalities and the same... I'm not saying that these people need to be the exact same. As a matter of fact, I am more interested in people who are nothing like me than anything like me, okay? Like, I like to be around people who, like, I have nothing in common with. So I'm not saying that compatibility means sameness. What I'm saying is that you function well together, right? You coexist well together. You are each other's complement. And there's only a few romance novels out there that I've read that's been the case. Element number 3, and this, I mean, I know I might get a lot of hate for this one. This is female main character growth. I find that a lot of us lady readers, we like to let our FMCs get away with a lot of bad behavior, okay? I mean, let's just face it, we naturally do it, right? It's just a tendency where it's like, oh, you do you, boo, go girl, you get it, girl, right? Like feminine power and like all that kind of stuff, right? Oftentimes the FMCs are written as I'm perfect and he needs to change, right? Like I'm perfect and he's the one with the problems, or even with my problems, I'm perfect and I'm right and right? Like that is how a lot of FMCs are written. Now don't worry, I will pick on the MMCs as well. Their turn is coming, okay? But ladies first. Here's the thing. I don't care how strong, confident, capable, or, you know, independent of a woman you are. That does not give her the right to be cruel, to be nasty, to be demeaning and belittling to anybody, including the men in her life, including the main man in her life. Personally, when I read these kinds of FMCs, the ones who lack growth and who are downright cruel to them, the first thought that comes to my mind is for the main male character. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, buddy, you need to run. Like, you need to run because she is, like, it's not going to end well for you. The truth is that there is nothing attractive about a woman who is bitterly and cruelly and just toxically trying to prove herself. Okay, there's nothing attractive about that. I'm not saying that a female main character has to be meek and mild, because I've read a number of strong, confident main female characters were able to be kind, who were able to be, right, like they were kind while also being very confident and very strong. They're supportive while being strong and independent, right? What I'm saying is that if she is strong, if she is confident, let her be that. She doesn't have to prove herself, okay? She doesn't have to prove to this dude that she's strong and confident. If he's the dude for her, he's gonna realize that. He's gonna know that. He's gonna see that. She doesn't have to prove that to him. She doesn't have to assert dominance. She doesn't have to be the boss. She doesn't have to be in his face. Now, if the FMC starts out this way, right, with this sort of domineering and cruel and nasty personality, if she starts out that way, okay. But in my mind, she better not stay that way, okay? In my mind, she better experience some growth. She better realize that, hey, this guy that I'm interested in has absolutely nothing to do with me because I'm being horrible to him, right? Like, there's nothing attractive about being horrible. I'm sorry. I've lived that nasty era, and it did nothing for me, okay? And so why is it doing something for these women? Bottom line is that a woman and a female main character who is cruel, who is demeaning, who undermines people, especially our main male character, which they oftentimes do, a female main character who does that is not a progressive feminist, okay? She is regressive. It is a regressive person, it is a regressive character, and it doesn't earn the respect of our male counterparts, of our male main characters. It doesn't earn the respect that we've been told that it does, okay? In fact, it just makes the main male characters say, okay, like, I don't want to get with that. Like, I ain't touching that with a 50-foot pole. In any case, and with whatever female main character we have, I expect growth. She better be better at the end than she was at the beginning. She better be more mature. She better have improved. She better have grown. She needs to be an improved person, okay? When we're reading stories, we're reading a significant amount of time in somebody's life. She needs to grow, okay? She needs to be a different person by the end. Otherwise, why have we read this? Why have we read this? As promised, I am going to pick on our main male characters now. Ladies, why are we falling in love with toxic, manipulative, domineering, cruel, and mentally and sometimes physically abusive men? I mean, these romance novel men, there are very few of them that I read that I'm like, oh yeah, he's like a legit guy, like, he's legit. No, a lot of them that I read, I'm thinking, Christ, you like sort of scare me. I'm sorry, I don't find that attractive. Here are the guys I'm talking about, and you might hate me. You might hate me, okay? I'm talking Christian Greys out there. I'm talking the Edward Cullens out there. And for all of my Chloe Walsh fans, I'm talking Kyle Carter, okay? The Kyle Carters of the world. Here's the thing. Masculinity does not mean tyranny. Masculinity, when it is done right, in real life and in a novel, what it offers is protection, safety, provision, groundedness, stability, solidity, right? It offers this strength and this security. It is not meant to belittle the woman. It is meant as a way of creating this safety, right? It's a way of creating this security, okay? I'm talking about those main male characters where when they walk into the scene, you relax, right? And there's only been a few main male characters that I've experienced where they did that to me, where the moment their name showed up on the page and they were walking into the scene, it's like, oh, thank heavens, I feel better, right? Nowhere in that description do I mention the romance of being tracked when you're going to the grocery store, and then if you take a different route home without his approval, that you're gonna be spanked in the bedroom and convinced that you like it. And don't even get me started on the main male characters who are like, oh, I had an abusive daddy. Listen, ladies, what is the number one piece of advice, and fellas, what is the number one piece of advice we heard when we were like the age 16, okay? What's the number one piece of advice? You cannot fix him. You cannot change him. And yet I can't even begin to count the number of romance novels that I've read where I've basically been told that the FMC is changing and fixing the MMC by her ability to woo him in the bedroom. If anything is going to fix this man, it is going to be your refusal. Right? If anything is going to fix this man, it is going to be the lack of a relationship that is happening because he's a hot mess. And that's something that in my own romance novel, Hughes, that I really worked very hard to be very clear on and to make that happen. Because at the beginning of the story, my MMC, he rock bottom, okay? And while my FMC loves him, and while my FMC's absolutely, I'm interested in this guy, I love this guy, he's great. Well, that is all true. She's not in a relationship with him. And it is not until he is better, it is not until he fixes his situation that she does even consider being with him in that way. Here's the thing, being masculine is not a problem. Being feminine is not a problem. Being toxic, cruel, abusive, and belittling, that's a problem. So obviously we've looked at the FMC and the MMC and we want them to grow as individuals, okay? The next tip and the next trick is that they grow together, okay? Relationship growth is key. They need to get better as individual people, and their relationship needs to grow, mature, and improve throughout the story, okay? It needs to get stronger throughout the story. Sure, they might have setbacks. Absolutely, that's real, that's life, that's right. The worst thing that can happen in a romance novel, though, is that the relationship is just as toxic and manipulative and abusive and horrible at the end as it was at the beginning. That it's just as immature at the end as it was at the beginning. That is the worst thing that could happen in a romance novel. Or that suddenly at the end they act like they are so mature and that they do trust each other 100%, and that they're best friends and that everything's okay all of a sudden, but we haven't experienced that growth with them, right? All we've seen is arguments and disagreements and dysfunction and unhealthy, and then at the end they try to claim that they are healthy and that they are together and that they are good, okay? And so there's this disconnect. There's this massive disconnect between the reader and the characters themselves, right? Where the characters are saying, oh, we're good, and you as the reader are thinking, oh, heck no, you are not good. I mean, how many romance novels have we read where, all throughout, they're saying, oh, I trust you, I trust you, I trust you, and they're making all these promises, right? And then promises are broken, and trust is lost, and they do absolutely nothing to regain that trust. They just continue breaking promises, and they continue losing trust from you as the reader, even though the idiotic main character counterpart continues trusting them. You don't trust them. Listen, if we have a breach of trust about, about a quarter of the way through or halfway through, that is fine, okay? That is fine. But they better make up for it by the end, okay? They better make up for it in that tail end portion of the story. And some great examples of that for me that I've read and that are some of my favorite books, honestly, are the Thoughtless series by S.C. Stevens. See what other, both Binding and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh, Hopeless and Confess by Colleen Hoover. In all of these stories, there's this buildup of trust. And there's this moment where trust is sort of lost, right? Where trust is sort of you injured that trust, right? But then they go about rebuilding it. They go about building it up and they don't lose it, okay? When we're in, the concluding portion of a book, you better not be losing my trust, okay? Because as a reader, I'm going to trust you at the end. And when you trust in that tail end and when you trust up to the end, it makes the relationship strong and the relationship only gets better, right? And mind you, the relationship can only get better if the relationship is not the problem, going back to point 1. Point number 6 is casual moments and friendship. I have to have Casual moments between the lovebirds in a romance novel. I'm not saying boring moments, okay? I'm not saying like this is like I wish this would end moments, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying casual. I'm saying friendship. Personally, in order for me to really like be attached to these characters, in order for me to look at these characters and think, I love these two together, I think they're beautiful together, I'm connected with them, they feel like my friends, these people are gonna follow me for the rest of my life. In order for me to feel that, I have to be able to see what they function like together, okay? If their casual moments always end in an argument, in a heated debate, or, you know, some sort of problem, I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna get behind that. And if they're only, you know, a series of steamy, hot hookups, then again, I'm not going to be behind that, and I'm not necessarily going to feel connected to that. I need that friendship. I need that connection. I need that conversation and the get to know you and how they actually behave when they're in, you know, just a normal environment. Here's the deal. I'm a firm believer that the best relationships are ones that at their core are like a beautiful friendship and are a deep friendship, okay? I am a firm believer that those are the best romances, the best romantic relationships, right? Whether it's in a romance novel or in real life. Listen, okay? And I feel like this is going to sort of put it in perspective for you. When I'm reading a romance novel and your FMC or your MMC trusts their supporting role pal, right? Their bestie on the side, right? These characters that it's like, no, they're not super crucial, but they're their best friends, right? If they trust them more than their lover, than there's this person that they're supposed to be falling in love with, like, I don't think that, right? I've got a problem with that, okay? I've got a problem with that. The lover should be the one that they are confiding in. The lover should be the one that they are trusting with secrets. The lover should be the one that they're crying with, should be the one that they're telling things, should be the one that they're, you know, vulnerable with. When every single vulnerable scene happens between, you know, I'm gonna give you, well, this happens equally with both, okay? The MMC's talking to his buddy at the bar and he's telling him all the things he should be telling the girl that he loves. Or the FMC's out clubbing with her girlfriends and she's telling them all the things that she should be telling this dude that she's like sleeping with and apparently in love with. When that is the case, my immediate action and my immediate like response to that is you don't trust them, right? That's my immediate response is you don't trust them enough to confide in them. You don't trust them enough to cry in front of them. You don't trust them enough to tell them that you're scared or tell them what you're worried about or tell them that you're sad or tell them that they hurt you, right? You don't trust them. And so that's what that tells me. And when they don't trust them enough to confide in them, like, why would I trust them, right? Why would I trust them? And I think some great examples of that, once again, are the books that I mentioned in the previous point. The Thoughtless series by S.C. Stevens, Binding and Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh, Hopeless and Confess by Colleen Hoover, where we have these relationships where the main characters are talking and having deeper conversations with each other than they are with their best friends. Right? They are the best friends, okay? Sure, they have pals, sure, they have best buddies, right? All that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they are best friends. They are each other's confidants. They lean on one another, okay? And again, in my own novel, that is what you see, is where the lovers or the people who are supposed to be in love, they trust each other. They are each other's best friend. They are each other's source and strength and support, right? That's what they are to one another. At the end of the day, these people, I mean, they need to be friends. They need to talk. They need to laugh together. They need to have these moments where they are building that relationship, where they are building that familiarity with one another. And they need to be the ones who actually know each other better than anybody else, okay? That's what they need to be. They need to light up and be the best version of themselves when they are with this person who's supposed to be their partner, this person who they're supposed to be in love with. That's what they need to be. Not when their overly confident, slutty best friend walks in. No, their lover, right? The person that they are in love with. Now, this last element I mean, this is crucial. This is crucial to chemistry because it literally is chemistry, okay? You need to have, okay, in order to have chemistry, you need to have that perfect blend of genuine love and sexual tension. If it's just sexual tension, then you are lacking depth, okay? If it is only sexual tension, then there isn't chemistry, okay? There's just I want you, okay? That's all there is. There's just arousal. There isn't chemistry. When there is nothing but sexual tension, and only that primal carnal arousal, when that's all there is in a story, I'm just going to be honest with you, those are the characters I forget, okay? Those are the stories I forget. Those are the books that it's okay, I don't care about these people. I forget their names, I forget the story, I forget the relationship altogether. I just black out, throw it out, we're done here. Now, I'm not saying that a story doesn't need sexual tension. Like I said, sexual tension is crucial for chemistry, okay? For the chemistry of the romance. But you have to have that genuine love factor. And sexual tension doesn't mean, okay, sexual tension at its core is not, oh my gosh, you are so hot and I want to rip your clothes off. No, sexual tension is the attraction in the magnetic pull. It is that thing that makes a relationship click. And I mean click. You don't have to have a single intimate scene or a single intimate moment for you to feel sexual tension. And my favorite example of this actually is not a book at all. This is a TV show. If you have watched X-Files, this is a super random, it is not a show for everybody, but if you want to see the definition of perfect chemistry, watch X-Files, okay? Watch X-Files, because there is just this gorgeous natural chemistry between the main characters, Scully and Mulder. There is no indication of a romantic connection or a romantic relationship for 5 to 6 seasons. We're talking over 100 episodes without a single indication of, there's something brewing here, right? So there's no indication of that, yet you feel this magnetism, okay? You feel this magnetism between them. You just understand and you know that these characters, they genuinely care about each other. They have each other's best interest in mind. They love one another in this partnership way, right? This partnership fashion. They absolutely love one another. They are there for one another. They are each other's support system. And there is genuine love and sexual tension between them. It's just this magnetic pull. It's just this attraction where it's you guys mesh beautifully. And so that is what you have to have in order to keep people reading, in order to keep people coming back for more. And as a reader yourself, as a reader myself, no doubt you've noticed that there are certain characters that you've read where it's I just want to keep reading more, right? I just want to keep reading more. And these are the characters where it's you're reading and perhaps they have scenes that they're apart and you're reading them and you're thinking, man, I hope they have a scene together soon. I hope I get a taste of their relationship soon, right? That is the chemistry that you are looking for. And it is a blend of genuine love and sexual tension, okay? So genuine love, it is not sexuality. It is not seduction. It is, right? It is not this allure or, being scandalous or steamy bedroom scenes. That is not genuine love. Genuine love, it's those scenes where it's one of them is down and the other one is picking them up, right? One of them is having a hard time and the other one is there with them. One of them is crying and the other one is comforting. One of them is succeeding and the other one is there, right? This togetherness, this genuine love, this genuine, right? It's not forced. It is not about how hot the other person is. It is literally just this genuine compassion and care for one another. And when you have that genuine love, that sexual tension can happen very naturally, okay? You don't even have to try. When there is this genuine connection between them, and again, friendship, growth, a problem that is challenging them and bringing them together, pulling them together, compatibility, right? When you're pulling all of these different elements together, what you get is beautiful chemistry, genuine love, and natural sexual tension. And so if you don't want to write a steamy bedroom scene, no problem, right? You can have all of these elements and you can do all of these things and create that sexual tension and create that beautiful relationship and create that genuine love without even a drop of steamy bedroom scene to be seen, okay? And at the end of the day, the click is what you're looking for, okay? The click. And you should be able to feel it. You should be able to feel it when you're reading it, whether it's instant or whether it happens further along in the book, right? But you should be able to feel it as a writer, but as a reader as well, okay? You should be able to encounter these characters and like feel it, right? There's just a click. Okay, not necessarily spark, doesn't have to be spark, but click. Now, obviously, there are always those unicorn stories that follow absolutely none of these elements, yet we're still absolutely obsessed with them for some reason. Obviously, I have consistently realized and that I am thoroughly captivated by these 7 elements. When these 7 elements are in a story, I'm satisfied, I'm fulfilled by the story, and I'm captivated by the story, and these are characters, and this is a story that actually sticks with me. And so even if you are not writing a romance novel, these elements, when you actually look for these elements in the stories that you're reading, I kid you not, you will start to notice that it's like, oh yeah, these are the books that I really connect with on this deep level, right? But if you are wanting to write a story, or if you have a story brewing and you just can't figure out how to make it work, then perhaps take a look at these elements, apply these elements, and try to use them and implement them in your writing and in your story. And you don't have to have a complex, romantasy, wild, whatever thing happening. You don't have to have this massive situation happening. But if you apply these elements, then you can really build a strong romance story and a strong relationship in that romance story. And at the end of the day, once again, what is your goal? What is your goal? Your goal is to have the characters fall in love and to really show that love. But your biggest goal as a writer is to make the reader fall in love with these people. It is to make the reader fall in love with these characters even more than the characters are falling in love with each other. As a reader, that's what you want to experience in the books that you're reading. And as a reader of your book, right? That's what you want to experience. You want your readers of your book to experience that.